the well-being of cyclists and the self-worth of a cyclist being somehow based on whether or not they win a stage in the Tour de France or any bicycle race for that matter. I think, first of all, I agree with what he said, and I don't think that even most professional cyclists typically make a judgment about their own self-worth based on any given performance. But certainly, to try to tie that in with what's been said earlier about the way that cyclists are expected to behave, and when they don't behave a certain way, or are accused of breaking the rules, their identity is taken away, and it's not a specific result that they've gotten or a specific goal that they've achieved. It's their entire identity becomes something different, and they're expected to try to explain why it was that they made the decisions they made, and that's what complicates things for the rest of their life, not so much whether or not they achieved a goal that they set out to achieve in the first place. On the other hand, all right, clarify exactly what your question was in the first place, because I had a point, but I think I've forgotten what it was.
What would you tell an 18 or 19-year-old boy who's about to enter the elite ranks of the sport?
I guess what I was trying to say by starting out with what I said about the previous points is that there's no reason not to encourage an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 50-year-old or an 80-year-old to get into riding their bicycle. And the decisions that you have to make with regards to bicycle racing and trying to win bicycle races are not entirely different from decisions that you have to make about ethical dilemmas in anything else in life. And so I think it's a dire point of view to say that because there's these choices that are put in front of you, that you should just avoid riding your bicycle altogether. It comes down to what exactly it is that you're trying to accomplish by entering a bicycle race in the first place. And I guess if all of your self-worth is based on whether or not you succeed or whether or not you accomplish a goal in a bicycle race, then there probably should be some more thought put into why exactly you got into cycling in the first place. So I think that it would be unfortunate if, because of the subject of doping in cycling and unethical behavior in cycling is so pervasive right now, that people were discouraged from becoming bicycle enthusiasts because of those decisions that you have to make are not entirely unlike decisions you make every day with regards to other endeavors in life. Certainly, I don't pretend to have the answer to how to deal with it, how to get the media to be more objective about how broad the problem is, rather than focusing on any given athlete that's accused, because that's all they have for the moment. And I'm somewhat guilty of it myself in the way I went about explaining the things that I experienced, because anytime you tell a particular anecdote or a particular story, that becomes the subject of whatever is written about, when the reality is that the problem is much more broad, and the athletes that have decided to use performance-enhancing drugs are doing so on a regular basis, and there's no sense in pointing out a particular given instance where that happened. Michael Ashton and I were talking earlier about how much more complex, as time goes on, the doping techniques are going to become, and how much more difficult it's going to be to determine whether someone is doped or not. Of course, there will always be simple ways around the rules, and then there will be complex ways. But one thing for certain is I believe most people in this room are here because they care about cycling, they care about, or they care about it in the sense that they enjoy doing it, whether it's racing or whether it's riding your bike down to the gas station and eating candy bars, which is my favorite thing. But the fact of the matter is, it's a subject that is not going to go away anytime soon. It just happens to be that we're at the beginning of a public, we're at the beginning of a place where we've gotten to now where we realize we have to deal with it. So ideally, whatever the answer is, we need to accept that this is going to be something that's going to exist indefinitely. There is never going to be a solution. And so to single out a particular rider here and there every 2 months or every 2 weeks or however often it is and tear them down and say, look what we're doing, we're fixing the problem, is in fact counterproductive because it hurts the sport. It makes the reputation of everyone else, whether they're guilty or innocent, tarnished because of that. And we can't ignore it, but we also have to accept that it's here to stay. And whatever way we come up with to deal with it, we also have to try to remind people what the beautiful part of the sport is in the first place. And so, yeah, I wish I had an answer. I wish I could say it's easy, but it's going to become more complex. But at the very least, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that cycling, like a lot of other sports, provide value to people that are watching or that are participating because it's something that sort of mirrors life and it's not scripted. It's not a television show where you know somebody wrote the script out. The problem is if you have an agency that's dealing with the doping problem that doesn't do so fairly, that doesn't do so in a consistent way, then it might as well be scripted, and then it becomes something that we didn't want it to be in the first place. So at the very least, I think we should all, at this point, accept that the problem's here to stay, but we need to work towards some sort of solution that doesn't destroy the sport in the process of trying to fix the problem.